I remember that day so clearly. My brother Kevin walked into my tiny messy apartment, the one I shared with 2 roommates, and looked around like he smelled something bad. He was wearing a suit that cost more than my entire year's rent. "Seriously, Anna?" he sneered, pulling out his fancy phone. "This is your life. I'm running a company driving a Porsche, and you're here scraping by." He didn't even try to hide his disdain. He laughed. A cold, short sound that cut right through me. "Some people just don't have that drive," he said, making me feel worthless. I just told him, "Wealth isn't everything, Kevin." But his laughter was the last thing I heard as he slammed the door. That was the last time I spoke to him for years. I never forgot that laugh. It became the fuel for everything I did. I worked harder, I took risks, and slowly, quietly, I built my own successful business. It wasn't flashy, but it was strong. Then, 5 years later, the call came. His voice wasn't cocky or loud. It was soft, hesitant, and absolutely terrified. His company had failed. His investments were gone. The bank was taking his house. He was completely broke. "Anna," he choked out. "Please, I need a loan. I need a job. You're the only family I have left who can help." He was standing in my office a week later. My office was huge, with a view of the entire city. He wore a cheap, wrinkled shirt and wouldn't meet my eyes. He looked broken. I didn't yell. I didn't laugh. I just looked at the man who had mocked my poverty and now stood begging in my wealth. The silence was heavier than any shout. "I remember that day in your apartment, Anna," he whispered, finally looking up. "I was an idiot. A complete jerk." I nodded slowly. "Yes, you were, Kevin." I reached for my checkbook. I wrote a check, not for a loan, but for the exact amount he needed to keep his family afloat for a few months. When I pushed it across the table, I looked him straight in the eye. "Take this. It's a gift. And it's not because you're my brother. It's because I learned that true wealth is the power to help others, not the power to look down on them." He started to cry, his head bowed. He took the check and walked out, leaving the weight of his guilt behind. I sat there, the quiet of my success finally feeling complete. I didn't just win the money game, I won the human one.